Here we are. We are moving on to more tools and more effects. So we want to talk about number one. The last video explained how to export for an animated GIF. And this one is going to talk a little bit more about tweens, how to create tweens in Photoshop, and also how to be able to export to video. Let's do that now. So export to video, you would come here to export, and you want to render video, and you want to select a folder. Be sure you know where it's going. Always do that. So let's do that. I'm going to select my folder, and let's get up to here, 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 and here. So I select that folder. So it's very important to know where your file is going to be sent. That's something that a lot of beginners randomly just save it anywhere. Always know where your documents are going to be saved. Always, always, always. So here we have it, and print video to start, and which is a fine title that I have. And you want to be sure that you have H.264, without a doubt, a standard format that is widely used. And then you want to also bring it to HD 1080 YouTube. YouTube has a phenomenal compression, and you absolutely, it's always very successful and effective. Now I'm here at this point to render, and then you render, and there you can see your rough cut. That is what we're doing in this video this week, is just to do a rough cut. I'll talk a little bit about tweens, which is what we're going to be doing, so that you can move forward at your own pace. So I will talk about tweens in this video, but primarily you really do not want to do the tweens until the rough cut is done. Because if somebody makes a big change as far as comments, and remember, we're all making comments on each other's progress. So it's important to know that the rough cut is this week. And now I'm going to give you an example of a rough cut, but then I'll jump ahead and show you some tweens that you can be able to move forward for the following week. So two things to remember. In video production, you always have many assets that come from many sources. So many studios may contract a 3D animation company, and that 3D animation company may be rendering a 3D animation that you're going to composite into your live action. So it's very multimedia, and it's a very exciting industry, but there's a lot of bells and whistles that go along with everything. So we're working very basically to understand the essence of creating assets. So you can technically create other assets, and you should know what I mean when I say assets. Assets are basically your visual or your music or your type and words that are going to be seen in the deliverable. So assets can be audio, can be visual, can be video, or it can be animation as well when we think of time-based. So when you do multimedia, you sometimes create a solitary visual effect, which is completely separate from this master document. This document that I'm going to be working with you tonight is the master document. It is the deliverable. But I could be working on some other aspect, some other pictorial element that needs to be completely created outside of this document. And in doing so, I would render that with an alpha channel. And I sure hope you all understand what I mean by an alpha channel. If not, this is the conversation to have. An alpha channel is basically a very, another word for transparency. That's all it is. Alpha means you're dealing with transparency. So if you're doing a pictorial element that has a transparency, you want to render it out with a transparency. So in Photoshop, you can do that. And the way to do that are these following steps. You come up here to Format and you say QuickTime. As soon as you say QuickTime, all of a sudden, the alpha channel here is available. Watch again. If I come here and I go H.264, which is the straight format to rendering the final video. But if I was creating an asset that is an element, a pictorial element, I would render it out as a QuickTime. So now you see H.264 alpha is not available in an H.264 format. So we want to change it to QuickTime. QuickTime gives us the alpha channel, and then we want to say straight unmatted. That is how you can bring separate videos into Photoshop. So one of the things that's important to understand about this video timeline, it's not After Effects, it's not Premiere, so it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that those programs have. But it's very, very effective because it has a lot of visual effects. So what we call Photoshop often in visual effects is a utility tool because it can generate a lot of good visuals. And that's when you can generate multiple pictorial elements that are separate entities that are rendered with an alpha channel that can be composited all into one video. And that is how all those wonderful opportunities of jobs can be created. So for our purposes, we're going to keep it to H.264 right now. And the preset is going to be YouTube, which is what your final delivery will be. So that is your final delivery on there. No alpha channel for this rough cut that we're going to do. Okay, so let's get to the rough cut. So I have my video timeline. Remember, you want to draw out the baseline to the length of the motion graphic video. And it doesn't want to be 2 hours. Let's get this to be the length that we want it to be. So it can be 15 seconds to 30 seconds. And you are going to create credits, so be sure to leave a little bit more room for the credits. So right now I have, so when you hover over this, I'm about 23 seconds, 21. Remember, your motion graphic video can be between 15 to 30 seconds, and that is very long. Trust me on that. So I've got it to be the length that I want. So I'm going to bring this out there. And so a rough cut basically is showing what is it that you want to see first and next and so forth. So I'm going to bring this out to the very end. Here is the drop shadow. On this initial video. And so again, these are different from what we had before. These are just things I like to use to walk through a demo. How this was made was creating silhouettes from a photograph of the Beatles, making it solid black, and then incorporating the montage into the silhouette. And that is all the tools that we used with the poster and with the web design on how to utilize the marching ants inside or outside, deleting whatever it needs to do to be able to be composited into the silhouette. So on here, we want to bring this down. So I want to see the road first. I don't want to see this, which is the organization. And let me zoom out right here. So what you see is what you get. Let me get this attached back into, let's get this back attached. There we go. So getting your windows to be just right is very, very important. It's very time-saving to be sure that it's together. So you see, this is there it's not. And let me I think I will bring it all the way to the beginning. Let's go to scrub to the beginning as we did before. And we'll bring this in. And there we have the blue. And I think, yeah, we want the road first, and then we want peace later. Yep, there we go. So we don't want peace yet. So we have to decide when that we want that to happen. So right now we have only this. And so a rough cut would have the ability, and you can scrub this. Here comes peace. Let's bring this up. And there is our glow there, right? We have a nice glow. So we'll put the visual effects for the glow. So let's just play this. And again, as we mentioned before, things are very slow. So like this is 1 second right now. That's how long 1 second took. And this is 2 seconds. And this is 3 seconds. And so it's to remember that it goes very slow, and that's why you want to render this on there. So for the position, you want to open up for the tween, which is what we're talking about in this video, is tweens and how to apply the tweens. So on here, I would take them, I would move them out, and Shift key keeps them straight. I don't like to lose my image off the screen. I mean, it's not a problem. Just do Control T. Remember, Control T will show you your object again, so you can see it. So that if it goes off the screen, just do Control T, and it will surround the image to be able to be seen. So here, I am starting in this position, and I'm not sure about the shadow as of yet. Let's just work with this one at a time, because this is the rough cut. And so I'm going to position it right here. Click. So now lock that in, and then I'm going to advance it. And I'm going to do to a half point, which is about here. And then I'm going to bring this onto the scene. Shift key, don't forget, we'll keep it aligned. Dead center it. And if I let go, you see it makes the keyframe for you, which is standard in any audio, in any 3D animation, any time-based program will do that for you. That's the good news. It makes the keyframe for you. Now, if I wanted a pause, that's important to remember. If I wanted a pause, you advance, just make another keyframe. There's a pause right there. And then go to the end, which will be down here. Close to where the credit's going to be. And then I'm going to move it, Shift key, keeping it on, and there it will make the motion. So again, remember to always create a pause when you're moving things in most cases, because there's going to be, you're going to want to have the time for that pause. So now when I play this, space bar, if you hit space bar, it'll play, and it's very slow, which is why we scrub. And there is a pause. Now, if I wanted the pause to be longer, for whatever reason, data points are coming in, more information, you can just move these keyframes to whatever timing you want, which is really, really essential, because you can just make keyframes and then put them in the spaces or time that you want them to be. So there we have this, and this is just a position change, right? Now, if there's anything else that you would want, like these shadows to follow them, right? Then I need to bring this over again, open this up. And this time I'm just going to show a couple of visual effects using the Tweens. So as you notice here on your timeline, position, opacity, and style is by default. And that means you can only do position, you can do opacity anywhere you want, midstream in the sprite. And style has to do with the styles that are over here. Outer glow, inner glow, color overlay, solid color, whatever it may be. You can apply the keyframes here. So on this beetle effect, maybe I want the glow to happen in the pause. That would make sense. So to make that happen, it's very important to remember, and this is a very good tip, because if you get to using or learning, I should say, After Effects, and After Effects is a class here at WCC. It's one of my favorites. It's taught by one of my favorite professors, Professor Jerry Casban. It's only offered in the fall, and it's called Film 160 Visual Effect. And Photoshop looks just like After Effects, but not as many bells and whistles. And so it's an excellent class. If you love video editing, you want to learn After Effects. And Professor Gasman is a wizard. So let's go back and let's apply this glow at the pause that I want it to be. So these are another tween. So I'm going to go back. Again, you want to snap to your frame. So I made the keyframes over here, and so I'm going to snap to it. It's very, very important to always snap to your keyframes using these diamonds. You do not want to ballpark it, because there are 29 frames within a second, and you could be off one, and that would cause a problem. So always jump, make a good habit, jump to your keyframe. Don't ballpark it like, oh, I think I'm here. No, you're not. You've got to be sure that you're on there by utilizing the dashboard tools, which is over on the left here. So here I have my glow, and I don't want my glow. So I'm going to come back to my layer, and I'm going to double click, call up the outer glow. And here it comes. And it has been already applied like we did in the other one. And we want to take the opacity on the outer glow completely to 0. No outer glow. And say OK. So now that just locked the style. And therefore I have to click it. That just locked the opacity to 0. Then I'm going to jump to the next one using the dashboard. Here, I want the glow to come back. So I double click over here. And actually, I don't want it. Sorry, I'm going to cancel it. I really don't want it to start glowing yet. I don't want it to glow from here to there. I want it to glow from here to here. So at this point, I'm going to lock in another 0 transparency. And then I'm going to advance it to this point, which is a pause. And then I double click. And what's really fun about doing visual effects, I happened to fall in love with it when I was learning the digital tools, because I felt like I was a magician, and I felt like I could control whatever I see. And that to me was very creative. And so you have to think about what the tools do for you. So as I did, I locked the pause here, the no glow here, and now I want the glow to happen. So therefore I advanced it, and now I go back to my outer glow, and then I push it to be seen. And then I say, okay. And the software makes that keyframe for me. Now, when I advance it to here, it still has the glow on, right? And notice how I ballpark it, not good. Let's go back and toggle with these keyframes. Now I'm spot on there. And now I want my glow to go away because I want it to come on and I want it to glow and then go away. So I'm going to double click the effects on the layer window. It comes back, and now I'm going to close it out so it's opaque. Oh, not the image, don't forget. We want just the stroke effect. So we'll double click that, and we'll take the opacity here, take the opacity down. There we go. No more opacity. I say okay. It makes a keyframe, and now I have it glowing, and let's just watch what it looks like. Comes to a pause. Here comes the glow. It's super slow. Goes high, and then it fades out. Now, if I wanted that glow to stay on, what you need to do is, let's move this back a little bit. You need to come here and right-click, copy. And at this point, you need to make a keyframe. So let's go over here and make a keyframe. There we go. Because you can't right-click and paste unless something is there. And then I will paste. So now what I have done, if you slowly watch this, first keyframe, 0 opacity. Second keyframe, 0 opacity. It holds the 0 opacity. Second keyframe, glow comes on. Second opacity, glow has a hold. Next and last glow is gone. So at this point, I can speed all of this up, and I can have the glow on longer. And there it is there on longer. And then when I move it out, it moves away, and so forth to this end one. Now, of course, you should stretch these out on the bottom because we want all of these to continue. So you'll notice that as soon as you see it. It's like, oh, I don't see it. And you'll go, oh, because I need to stretch it out. Same thing with this, all the way through. Okay, and don't forget to save. Save every 30 seconds. Okay, next one. So that will give you the glow effect. And I'm just going to scrub it to show it to you. And if I wanted the peace sign right here to come on, then remember what I mentioned in the last one is this video right here. And on the fade, you click down and you mouse down and you drag and drop. That will give you the fade up of that piece. Okay, and there it goes away. Now I want my bottom layer of the title, which is, where is that bottom one? Oh, right here on the foreground. Stretch it all the way out. So this little scrubber that you have here is what you see is what you get. Very, very important. And so that is the one tween that we'll be working with. Are the layer styles and the opacity and so forth. The next video, we're going to talk about how to do the transform tool. So I'm going to do a little bit of it right now. So let me close this up, and closing it up right here. let's do something with the shadows. So if you notice, it's all by default position, opacity, and style. To do something advanced, you must come over here to the arrow on the right. Now these are your tweens. And you mouse down on this arrow right here. And you might do rotate. And so you say rotate, but be sure to toggle off this little resize right here. That makes a world of a difference. And then you deselect off of it, and it all of a sudden changes the position to transform. Now it's done something that I don't really want. So you just simply select and delete, and select and delete, but you still have transform. So basically what this means in the tween video that this is that you have more tweens. You have position, you have scale, and you have rotate. Really, really important tweens. That is what transform gives you. So let me just show you what that means, what it would be. So going back again, let's bring this up to the beginning. I want to hit a transform here, but I'm going to do a scale. So I'm going to do Control T, and I'm just going to scale this really, really big, just so it has a visual effect like something is coming over this video. So that is the scale. So now when I advance, and of course, once you change something, you must double click it or click the arrow right here. And then I can advance it. Now we're getting distracted because we see the other things. But when I go Control T, now I'm going to bring it down, up, and zoom out because I can't find the edges. Here we go. And now I'm scaling it, and it's not distorting it, but I wanted to rotate it. So let's get it back to be normal. And you can only rotate 180 at a time. You cannot rotate to 360. Very, very important. And again, double click or check the check up here. And now I want to follow where we are. And then don't forget to scrub. And there we have this lovely effect that's coming in. Now, on here, I want to advance it because that's the hold, right, to be up here. And again, Control T. And I could distort this so it's kind of lying down. And you can come up here to Free Transform, Distort. Then you'll get this white arrow, and now you can actually lay down your video, the shadows that I have right here. So I'm putting them by the feet on this. And so now I've distorted that. That is the value of having the tweens. And when I double click or click up here, it has accepted it. And now the shadow is where I want it to be. Okay, we're going to do a couple of more videos using tweens, but that is how you can go from the basic position to the basic transform. And please remember to stop and start your videos, as I always do when I find really good videos. Okay, have a good week. I look forward to seeing your rough cut. Take care.